Abdul Aziz Nikmat has died. The former Menteri Besar, Chief Minister of Kelantan, was 84. He had been in intensive care in hospital. Mr. Nikmat was admitted to hospital in January. He had been fighting prostate cancer. His son says his health deteriorated after doctors treated an ulcer. Channel News Asia's Sumisha Naidu is in Kuala Lumpur. Sumisha, what's the latest that you can tell us?
Well, we knew that Mr. Nik Aziz was ill for some time now. He was 84 years old and had been admitted to the ICU earlier this year as he had been suffering from prostate cancer reportedly for a few years now. So he has been sickly, and those who knew of his condition had been bracing for the worst. Family members are now making arrangements. Crowds are already gathering there, and more prayers will be held tomorrow morning as well as Mr. Nik Aziz's funeral.
Sumisha, can you tell us more about the man, Mr. Nik Aziz, the politician as well as a spiritual leader?
Well, he's one of Malaysia's most well-known and influential political figures. He's been active in politics since the late 60s, about a decade after Malaysia gained independence. So, he's been around for a very long time. He was a member of Islamic Party PAS for almost 5 decades and was the party's very highly respected spiritual leader. But even outside PAS, he was well-loved and had many Muslim and non-Muslim supporters. Mr. Nik Aziz was also the longest-serving Chief Minister of Kelantan from 1990 to 2013. But aside from all his political achievements, he was also a family man. He leaves behind his wife, Tuan Sabariah, Tuan Ishak, and 10 children.
And how are the first reactions from Malaysians, Sumisha?
Well, there's a lot of sadness and messages of condolences coming from people across the political divide. Minister Najib Razak stopped the speech he was giving his words. Mr. Nik Aziz is certainly one of the most iconic figures of Malaysian politics, and he will be missed.
All right, thank you so much, Sumisha. That was our correspondent, Sumisha Naidu, on the death of Mr. Nik Abdul Aziz Nikmat, the spiritual leader of Malaysia's Islamist political party, PAS. And let's bring in Zairil Khir Johari, the executive director of the Penang Institute, that's a public policy think tank. Zairil, welcome to the show. Now, as you heard from our correspondent, Sumisha there, this death doesn't come as a real surprise. What are your first thoughts?
I think... Well, emotionally, I think it was a big blow, and this coming right after the jailing of Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim, just a day or two ago, and for all of us, although we knew he was in ill health, I think the timing of it was just too much.
Yeah, his death comes at the end of a very eventful week in Malaysian politics, as you've just mentioned. Can you just elaborate on what kind of legacy do you think Mr. Nik Aziz will leave behind?
Well, he was very much of the old school generation of politicians, in the same way Karpal Singh was, Anwar Ibrahim, and even Lim, I suppose, as a great opposition stalwart. Ideologically, he was known to be conservative, yet at the same time, he was also if you want to put it this way, a moderating voice within the conservative group. And more importantly, he was also very clear in his principles, and he always knew where the lines were drawn. For example, cooperation with UMNO, the ruling party, was always off the table where he's concerned. It's not even something you could mention in front of him. So I think in many ways, he has personally prevented any notion of a past UMNO unity government from ever materializing.
Sure, sir. And strong or big impact to the party PAS, and where do you think the party will go from here?
Well, I think there would be impact on the party and on the coalition. One, of course, hopes that we do not see a repeat of 2002, when the then past president Fadil Noor passed away, which led actually to the eventual breakup of the Barisan Alternative Opposition Coalition at the time. We also recall that when Fadil Noor passed away, Anwar Ibrahim was also in jail. So there was, without these two sort of moderating leaders, the coalition couldn't hold. This time around, the situation is sufficiently different. I think right now, because we share government in a few states, I think we're more entrenched. So, hopefully the coalition is able to ride through this. I think that he has inspired enough of newer generation PAS leaders and even outside of PAS who really see value in having this coalition. For PAS itself, there would be, I think, repercussions for the internal party. But whether this is positive or negative remains to be seen. What is certain is that it has not been a good past 12 months for the opposition coalition.
All right, thank you so much, Zairil. I've been speaking with Zairil Khir Johari, the Executive Director of the Penang Institute. And here's a chronology that we've prepared. Mr. Nik Aziz was one of Malaysia's best-known politicians. He led the Kelantan PAS government for 23 years until 2013. He was born in 1931, the son of a religious teacher who gave him his early education. He later continued his education in India, as well as at Egypt's Al-Azhar University. In 1967, he joined PAS and contested and won elected Member of Parliament for Kelantan Hilir. He held the seat, later renamed Bangkalan Chepa, until 1986. That's when Mr. Nik Aziz stepped aside from federal politics to contest for a seat in the Kelantan State Assembly. When PAS gained control of Kelantan from Barisan Nasional in 1990, Mr. Nik Aziz became its Menteri Besar Chief Minister, a position he held for 23 years. In 1991, he was named PAS Failing health, Mr. Nik Aziz remained an influential leader of the Islamic Party and was instrumental in boosting his party's popularity among non-Muslims. He was also one of the most respected leaders in the opposition Pakatan Rakyat coalition. He was strongly against any cooperation with the ruling UMNO party. Mr. Nik Aziz leaves behind a wife and 10 children.